the only party that opposed the Zero Carbon Act when Labor, the Greens and New Zealand first all brought it in was ACT. We're the only party that has been consistent on issues like oil and gas. So people can, make up their mind based on what people say. But the ACT Party is very happy to be judged on what we do. And all through the history of this issue, we've been crystal clear that there's no point taxing food. There's no point signing up to things that we can't afford. And there's no point forcing New Zealand agriculture offshore so that our current customers can buy food from other farmers who actually emit more. That's a loss for the planet and a loss for the farmers and ultimately the New Zealand economy, who right now are keeping the shop open. There's lots of people in New Zealand agriculture who innovate and do things differently to come up with a product that satisfies their customer. That's, I would say, the hallmark of New Zealand agriculture for the last 2 generations. However, it's not true that because one person has a strategy in the market, all of us should be compelled to do it, often at cost to their livelihoods. So I actually think we need to be really clear. Paris is back on the table. Paris Agreement is like a bad boyfriend. Either it's got to change, stop the abuse, or we're going to leave. And those changes look like a split gas approach, no tax on food, and more realistic emission targets that are more in line with what the rest of the world's actually doing, not what they say they're going to do. Once again, best indication of future performance is past performance, and you should look at not what people say, but what they do.
Are you and Winston going to gang up on the Nats?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. The people are actually what matters here. You're talking about politicians. What I'm saying to people who are out there, if you're in the front line of the New Zealand economy, if you're milking cows or sawing wood, then you are already seeing what people in urban New Zealand are feeling. And that is that climate commitments are starting to bite. For a long time, we could both go to heaven as New Zealanders. We could feel that we were good people and that we were, sustainable because we had lots of hydro, lots of geothermal. And yet we could go to heaven, but we didn't have to die, meaning we didn't have to sacrifice having the lights on or having heavy industry. We could actually have it all. Now we're facing a very different reality. And as reality bites, we're going to have to put Paris and the Zero Carbon Act back on the table. And having held this position for as long as these issues have existed, I think ACT is in a very good position to represent people who share these concerns. And after we listen to the voters, then you can talk about the politicians. I just make the case that we're a credible choice for the voter. If we want to never have Labor in again, and never have something like the Zero Carbon Act, the ACT Party can make a clear claim to consistency on these issues. Up and down New Zealand, people in the primary industries are innovating their product to suit their customer, and they don't rely on everyone else in the country to do exactly the same thing first. In fact, really, innovation is the opposite of that. We're going to be looking at where the rest of the world is going, because I do agree that simply pulling out today would have some pretty serious impacts. But you watch over the next year, I think the rest of the world is shifting. I think we should be reaching out to like-minded countries who are exposed with a lot of methane in their emissions profile. And that's not just South American companies with a lot of bovines. It's also a lot of Southeast Asian countries with a lot of rice that also emits a lot of methane. And we should be saying, look, there's got to be a coalition of the willing around the world who are prepared to have a different conversation about Paris. And if we can't get that, then I think it might be time for us to leave.